My sister stole my engagement ring to propose to her boyfriend, and my parents supported her because she's younger and deserves a chance. But when the jeweler called, the velvet box felt wrong in my hands the moment I picked it up too late too hollow. My engagement ring, the stunning 3-carat diamond Bruno had proposed with just months ago, was gone. It stood frozen in my bedroom, staring at the empty indent where it should have been nestled safely while I showered. My numb as Esther, and I never thought my own sister would betray me like this, Mom. I called out, my voice cracking, as I rushed down the stairs. Mom, have you seen my ring? Did you move it? My mother looked up from her coffee. Perfectly manicured, nails wrapped around her favorite mug. What do you mean, honey? Isn't it in your room? The box is empty. I thrust it toward me, her hands shaking. I always put it there when I shower. Always. Maybe you misplaced it. She barely glanced at the box. You've been so scattered lately with all the wedding planning. That's when I heard it. The distinct sound of Sophia's laughter floating in from the backyard. My stomach dropped as I moved to the window. There she was on her phone, twirling something that caught the sunlight. Sophia, I stormed outside screen. Door slamming behind me? What are you doing with my ring? She turned and I saw it clear as day on her left hand. My ring, my 3-carat princess cut diamond that Bruno had spent months saving for. Oh, hey, sis. She smiled, that same sweet smile she'd used to get away with everything since we were kids. Isn't it beautiful? Zane proposed last night. The world tilted sideways. That's my ring. Don't be ridiculous. She laughed, but her eyes darted away. Zay picked it out himself. Sophia. Howard. Take it off, right? Now my voice was steady despite the rage. Building inside me, that is my engagement ring, and you know it. What's all this shouting about? Our father appeared at the door. Mom right behind him. Sophia stole my engagement ring, I said, turning to them. She's trying to pass it off as her own. Daddy tell her to stop Sophia's. Lower lip trembled. Why would I steal her ring? Zay proposed to me. He bought this. Now Esther, Mom stepped forward, placing a hand on my arm. Your sister just got engaged. This should be a happy moment. I jerked away from her touch. Are you serious right now? That is my ring. It looks different than yours, Dad said, squinting at Sophia's hand. The setting's not quite the same, is it? Because she had it altered. I was shouting now, my voice echoing. Across the yard, call Bruno, call the jeweler. That is my ring. Honey, Mom's voice took on that patronizing tone I'd grown to hate. You're making a scene. Sophia and Zane are in love. They're getting married. Can't you just be happy for your sister? I look. Between them, Mom's dismissive expression, Dad's uncomfortable avoidance, and Sophia's triumphant smirk poorly disguised as innocence. 25 years of watching them favor her excuse, her protect her. And somehow I was still surprised. You know what? I pulled out my phone. Let and call Zane right now. Let and ask him where he bought the ring. Sophia's face went white. He's busy at work. Perfect. I'll leave a message. I hit the call button, watching her squirm. Stop it. She lunged for my phone, but I stepped back. Fine. I borrowed it, okay. But Zay was going to propose, and we couldn't afford anything nice. And you have everything, the perfect job, the perfect fiancé, the perfect life. Sophia, Mom hissed, but the truth was, out, I looked at my parents, waiting for their reaction, waiting for them to finally hold their precious baby accountable. Instead, Mom wrapped an arm around Sophia's shoulders. Weck, sort this out as a family, she said firmly. There's no need to involve Zay or make this public. Sophia made a mistake, but her intentions were pure love. Makes people do crazy things. Pure intentions. I laughed, the sound harsh and foreign. She stole my engagement ring. Weck, replace it. Dad offered quickly a newer one, even better. That's not the point. I was trembling now. Tears threatening to fall. She stole from me, lied about it, and you're defending her again. Esther, please. Mom sighed. Don't be dramatic. We can fix this. I looked at my sister, still wearing my ring, still protected in our mother. Embrace something inside. Me hardened a lifetime of being the reasonable one, crystallizing into resolve. You're right, Mom, I said quietly. We can fix this, and I will. I turned and walked away, their calls fading behind me. They had no idea what was coming, but they were about to learn that karma has a way of collecting its debts, and I was going to make sure it did. I spent the night at Kimberly's apartment, my phone buzzing with ignored messages from my family. The next morning, I walked into my parents' house with purpose, finding them all gathered in the kitchen like nothing had happened. "Oh, good, you're back," Mom said, sliding a plate of pancakes across the counter. "We were worried, were you?" I remained standing. Or were you hoping I'd cool off and let this go like always? Sophia sat at the table, my ring still gleaming on her finger. She at least had the decency to look uncomfortable, sweetheart. Dad began, "We've been talking and we think, no, I cut him off, you don't get to think. Anything that ring is mine and Sophia. Is going to take it off right now?" Actually, Mom straightened her spine. "We've decided to help Sophia and Zane buy a new ring. A better one this way. Everyone wins." I stared at her, incredulous. Everyone wins. My sister stole from me, lied to her boyfriend. "And you want to reward her? It's not rewarding." Sophia piped up. "Zay loves me and this ring, it just feels right on my finger. Like it was meant to be mine. You're delusional." I turned to our parents and you're enabling her again. Now that's enough, dads. Voice. Rose, we're trying to find a solution here. The only solution is Sophia returning what she stole and facing consequences for once in her life. My phone rang, cutting through the tension. Unknown number. I answered it, turning away from my family's stares. "Is this Esther?" a man's voice asked. "This is James from Crystal Jewelers. We have a situation regarding airing purchase." My heart raced. Yes, I'm Esther. What kind of situation a young woman brought in a ring for resizing? Yesterday matches the description of one we sold to a Mr. Bruno Grant 3 months ago. She claimed it was a gift from her boyfriend, but something felt off. We keep detailed records of our sales, especially for pieces of this value. I put the phone on speaker, locking eyes with Sophia. Go. When we checked the serial number, it matched Mr. Grant's purchase. The young woman gave her name as Sophia said her boyfriend was named Zane, but to our records show this ring belongs to you. Sophia jumped up. "You had no right to check." "I had every right," I snapped before addressing James. "Thank you for calling. That ring was stolen from me by my sister. She's trying to pass it off. Asher's own engagement ring?" The silence in the kitchen was deafening. I see James said carefully. "In that case, we'll need proper documentation of ownership before proceeding with any alterations, and you may want to file a police report." "No police," Mom burst out. "We can handle this privately." "Thank you, James," I said firmly. "I'll bring in the original receipt and documentation." Today I hung up and faced my family. Sophia's face had gone from pale to red. Mom looked like she might faint, and Dad couldn't meet my eyes. "Still want to claim it was a gift from Zane?" I asked Sophia. "You're just jealous," she exploded. "You can't stand that I'm happy that someone wants to marry me. Too happy." I laughed. "You think building a marriage on theft and lies will make you happy enough?" Mom slammed her hand on the counter. "Sophia made a mistake, but involving jewelers and threatening police. Reports that's going too far, Esther. We raised you better than this, no, Mom. You raised me to be the responsible one, the understanding one, while Sophia got away with everything." "Well, not this time, please." Sophia's voice cracked. "Zay will leave me if he finds out you know how he is about honesty. I'll do anything. I'll pay you back." All you should have thought about that before stealing my ring and lying to everyone. I grabbed my purse. I'm going to the jeweler. Then I'm calling Zay. "You can't, Sophia." Lunged forward, grabbing my arm. "Mom, Dad, stop." Her. Dad finally spoke, his voice tired. "Let her go." "Sophia, this has gone too far, but she'll ruin everything." Sophia wailed. I pulled free from her grip. "No, you ruined everything. I'm just making sure the truth comes out." As I walked out, Mom called after me, "If you do this, you'll tear this family apart." I paused at the door, looking back at them one last time. "No, Mom, you and Sophia did that the moment. You decided theft and lies were acceptable as long as your favorite daughter got what she wanted." The door closed behind me with a satisfying click. My phone buzzed, a text from the jeweler confirming they had located my purchase. Records perfect. It was time to show my sister that karma doesn't care about being the family favorite. I can't believe they are actually defending her. Kimberly said, sliding a glass of wine across her kitchen counter to me. I mean, I can because it's your family, but still I took a long sip. The receipt from Crystal Jeweler spread out in front of me. You should have seen Sophia's face when the jeweler called like a kid caught with her hand in the cookie jar, except the cookie is a 3-carat diamond worth 20 grand. So what's the plan? Kimberly leaned forward, her eyes sparkling with that look she gets when she's ready for action. Please tell me you're going nuclear on this. My phone buzzed. Another text from Sophia. Please. Please don't do this. I'll explain everything to Zane myself. Yeah, right? He muttered, showing Kimberly the message. She's just trying to buy time to spin another lie. Kimberly said, You know, that, right? The doorbell rang, making us both jump. Kimberly peeked through the peephole and turned to me with wide eyes. It's your mom, of course it is. I stood up, squaring my shoulders. Let her in. Mom burst through the door, like she owned the place, designer purse swinging. Esther, we need to talk alone. Anything you have to say, you can say in front of Kimom's lips. Tightened fine. Sophia is devastated. She's been throwing up all morning, crying about how you're trying to ruin her life. That's rich. I laughed. She steals my engagement ring, lies to everyone. And somehow, I'm the bad guy. She made a mistake, Mom threw up her hands. Weck offering to make it right, your father already called the jewelry store. We can get you an upgraded ring bigger than the original. It's not about the ring anymore, Mom. It's about Sophia facing consequences for once in her life by destroying her relationship by bringing shame to this family. Kimberly snorted. The only shame is how you're enabling a thief. Mom's head snapped toward her. This is a family matter. No, I said firmly. This stopped being just a family matter when Sophia dragged Zane into her lies. He deserves to know what kind of person he's planning to marry. She loves him. Mom pleaded she was desperate. You know how much she struggled while you've had everything handed to you. Handed to me? I slammed my wine glass down. I worked my ass off for everything I have. I put myself through grad school. I built my career. I found a good man who loves me. None of that was handed to me. Your sister, my sister, is a thief who's about to learn that actions have consequences. I pulled out my phone. In fact, let in call. Zane, right now, don't you dare. Mom lunged for my phone, but Kimberly stepped between us. Mrs. Howard, Kimberly's voice was ice cold. I suggest you step back. My phone was already ringing 1 ring, 2 rings 3. Helloze's voice came through C and confused. Zane, it's Esther. We need to talk about Sophia's engagement ring. Esther, please. Mom's voice cracked with desperation. What about it? Zane asked. Is something wrong? I need you to meet me at Crystal Jewelers in an hour. There's something you need to see. A pause, okay? Should Sophia come too? No, I said firmly. Watching Mom's face crumple. Just you after hanging up? Mom stared at me like I was a stranger. I never thought you could be so cruel. I laughed. Cruel is watching your steal from her sister and helping her cover it up. Cruel is letting Sophia lie to an innocent man about something as important as their engagement. Cruel is standing in someone else's home trying to guilt. Trip them into accepting more family betrayal. You've changed. Mom whispered. No. I finally had enough now. If you'll excuse me, I have a meeting at the jewelry store. Mom grabbed my arm as I moved past her. If you do this, don't expect to be welcome at home anymore. I gently removed her hand. That's fine. I'd rather be alone than surrounded by people who think love means enabling theft and lies. After Mom left, Kimberly hugged me tight. You okay, actually? Yeah, I picked up the receipt. My proof of ownership for the first time in forever. I feel like I'm doing exactly what I should be doing. Want me to come with you to meet Zane? I shook my head. No, this is something you need to do alone. But keep your phone on. Something tells me Sophia is going to put on quite a show when she finds out what's happening. As I gathered my things to leave, my phone lit up with a text from Sophia. You regret this? I showed it to Kimberly, who raised an eyebrow. Sounds like a threat. No, I smiled, slipping the receipt into my purse. It sounds like someone who's finally about to face reality, and I can't wait to see it happen. Zane was already waiting outside Crystal Jewelers when I arrived, hands stuffed in his pockets, looking confused and concerned. I'd always liked him. He was honest, hardworking, and genuinely good everything my sister didn't deserve. Hey, he said, shifting nervously. What's going on? Sophia's been calling Menon. Stop, but she won't say what's wrong. Let him go inside first. I held the door open. There's something you need to see. James the jeweler who had called. Me looked up as we entered. Recognition flashed across his face. Esther, and this must be Zane, I said. Sophia's boyfriend James's expression tightened. I see. Do you have the documentation I requested? I pulled out the receipt and original purchase records, laying them on the counter. Right here. What documentation? Zane stepped closer, peering at the papers. What is all this? The proof of purchase for that engagement ring Sophia's wearing. I said, quietly, the one you supposedly bought her. His face went blank. What are you talking about? Of course, I bought herring. James cleared his throat. Sir, this receipt shows this ring was purchased by Bruno Grant 3 months ago. It was sold as an engagement ring for Esther. Zay's face drained of color. He picked up their seat. Hands shaking slightly. There must be some mistake. Sophia said, Sophia Lead? I said gently. She stole my engagement ring while I was in the shower, then tried to pass it off as a gift from you. He shook his head. No, she wouldn't. The bell above the door chimed. We all turned to see Sophia burst in face streaked with tears. Our mother right behind her. Zay, baby, don't listen to her. Sophia rushed forward, grabbing his arm. Sheck, just jealous she's trying to ruin everything. Is it true? Zay's voice was deadly quiet. Did you steal this ring? Of course not. I would never. The serial number matches. James interrupted, pointing to the documentation. And we have the original security footage of Mr. Grant's purchase if you'd like to see it. Sophia's grip on Zay's arm tightened. Baby, please, I can explain everything. Explain what Zay jerked away from her. Explain how you stole your sister's engagement ring. Explain how you've been lying to me about where it came from. I did it for us. Sophia's voice rose hysterically. We've been together for 2 years, and you never proposed. I saw how happy Esther was with her ring, and I wanted that for us, so you stole it. Zay's face hardened. You committed a crime and lied to my face about it. Mom. Sophia turned to our mother. Tell them how it's not that simple. Mom stepped forward, but Zane held up his hand with all due respect, Mrs. Howard. I don't want to hear it. I've watched you excuse Sophia's behavior for 2 years, and now I understand why she thinks this. He's okay, Zay, please. Sophia sobbed, I love you. Love doesn't steal, he said, his voice breaking. Love doesn't lie. He turned to me. I'm so sorry, Esther. I had no idea. It's not your fault, I said softly. Take it off, he told Sophia. Now Noshi clutched her hand. To her chest test. You can't make me actually, James spoke up. If you don't remove that ring voluntarily, we'll have to involve the police theft over $5. 00 is a serious crime. Sophia's face crumpled as she slowly pulled the ring off, dropping it on the counter like it burned her. James picked it up, examining it carefully before handing it to me. The setting's been altered, he noted, but we can restore it to its original state within a week. This is what you wanted, isn't it? Sophia spat at me to humiliate me, to ruin my life. No, I slipped my ring into my purse. I wanted the truth to come out. Everything else is just consequences of your own actions. Zane moved toward the door, pausing to look back at Sophia one last time. Don't call me. Don't text me. We're done, Zay. Sophia tried to follow him, but Mom held her back as he walked out. Are you happy now? Mom glared at me. You've destroyed your sister's relationship? No, Mom. Sophia destroyed it herself. And if you'd ever held her accountable for anything, maybe she wouldn't be in this situation. I turned to James. Thank you for your help. I'll be back next week for the ring. As I walked out, I heard Sophia's sobs and Mom's attempts to console her. But for the first time, I felt no guilt, no obligation to make things right. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is let them face the music they've been playing all along. 3 days after the jewelry store confrontation, Dad showed up at my apartment. His shoulders were slumped, his usual confident posture replaced by something that looked a lot like defeat. "Can I come in?" he asked quietly. I stepped aside, letting him. Enter. He settled onto my couch, looking around at the boxes I'd been packing. "You're really moving out of the house. I can't stay there anymore," I said, sitting. Across from him, "Not after everything." He nodded slowly. "Sophia hasn't left her room since that day your mother's beside herself. And how are you, Dad?" He met my eyes for the first time, ashamed of myself. "Mostly I've been doing a lot of thinking about how we got here." The front door opened, and Bruno walked in with coffee and bagels. He froze when he saw Dad, then carefully set the breakfast down. "It should give you two some privacy," he said. No, Dad stood up. "Stay, please. You're part of this family. Too, or at least you will be, if you still want to be after everything we've put Esther through." Bruno moved to stand behind my chair, his hand resting supportively on my shoulder. "I love your daughter, sir." "Nothing. Your other daughter did change." "Is that Sophia's?" "Been fired from her job," Dad said suddenly. Apparently she had a complete meltdown at work yesterday. Started screaming at a client who was wearing an engagement ring. "That's not my problem," I said firmly. No, it's not," Dad agreed, surprising me just like, "It wasn't your problem when she crashed your car in college, or when she borrowed money from your savings account last year. We always made it your problem, didn't we?" I felt tears threatening but held them back. "You and Mom always said I needed to protect her, to understand her." "We were wrong," Dad's voice cracked. "We failed both of you. We failed Sophia by never teaching her consequences, and we failed you by making you responsible for her actions." A knock at the door interrupted us. Bruno answered, it revealing Mom and S. Iway standing there. "Family intervention," Sophia announced, pushing past Bruno. She'd clearly been crying, but there was a manic energy to her movements. "We're fixing this right now. There's nothing to fix." I stood up. "You need to leave." No, Sophia planted herself in the middle of my living room. "This has gone on long enough. Zay won't answer my calls. I lost my job, and it's all because you couldn't just let me be happy." Sophia, Dad's voice held a warning, but she ignored him. "You've always been jealous of me," she continued. "You couldn't stand that Zay might love me more than Bruno loves you. That's enough." Dad's shout made us all jump. "Sophia, stop talking right now." "But Daddy," I said, "stop." He turned to face her fully. "Do you have any idea what you've done? You committed a crime. You betrayed your sister. You lied to a man you claimed to love, and now you're standing here still trying to make yourself the victim." Mom stepped forward. "Lamar, please. She's hurting." "Of course she's hurting," Dad threw up his hands. "Actions have consequences, something we should have taught her 20 years ago." Sophia burst into tears. "I just wanted what Esther has. Is that so wrong? Then you should have earned it." Bruno spoke up, his voice firm, but kind instead. "You tried to steal it? There's a big difference." "Get out," I said quietly. "All of you, I'm done with this conversation, this drama, all of it." Esther, Mom pleaded. "We're family. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't enable theft and lies. Family doesn't show up uninvited to make more demands." Sophia lunged forward, suddenly grabbing my purse from the coffee table. "Where's the ring? Give it back." Bruno moved quickly, taking the purse from her hands while Dad pulled her back. "That's it," Dad said, his face red with anger. "We're leaving now." "But now, Sophia." He turned Tome, still holding Sophia's arm. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart, for everything. When you're ready. If you're ever ready, I'd like to try to make things right as they left." I could hear Sophia's hysterical sobs echoing down the hallway, Mom's soothing murmurs, and Dad's heavy footsteps. Bruno pulled me into a hug. "You okay, actually?" "Yeah," I looked up at him. For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm seeing my family clearly, and I'm not responsible for fixing their mess anymore. Your dad seems to be waking up. Maybe I sighed, but it's too little too late. Some things can't be fixed with apologies. Bruno kissed my forehead. "So what now?" I looked around at the half-packed boxes at the life we were building. Together, now we move forward without the drama, without the guilt, without Sophia's chaos and your parents. They made their choice a long time ago. "Go," I said, "now they have to live with it." 2 weeks passed, my ring was restored to its original setting. Bruno and I moved into our new apartment, and I hadn't heard a word from Sophia, but peace never. Lasts long in my family, I was sorting through mail when I found it a glossy wedding magazine with my name on the subscription label. Inside was a post-it note in my mother's elegant handwriting. "Please call me, we need to talk." My phone rang as if. On cue, Kimberly's name flashed on the screen. "Turn on your Instagram right now," she said. Without Gello to you too, I laughed, opening the app. Just look at Sophia's latest post. Miss Stomack dropped as I saw it. A photo of Sophia in a wedding dress standing. In what looked like a bridal boutique, the caption read, "Sometimes the worst betrayals lead you to your best decisions. Wedding planning. Starts now new." Chapter G, moving on. Is she serious? I asked Kimberly. Or she's not even dating. Anyone keep scrolling. The next post was worse. A close-up of Sophia's hand wearing a new ring smaller than mine. But still impressive. The caption, "When someone better comes along and shows you what real love looks like. Thank you for saving me from settling. Sis upgraded." Jarred, better than ever. My phone buzzed with another call. Mom, against my better judgment. I switched over. "Did you see?" she asked immediately. "Sophia's delusional Instagram posts?" "Yeah, I saw. She's not delusional." Mom said carefully, "She's been seeing someone. A friend of your father's business partner? He's well established. You mean he's rich and desperate enough to date someone who just got exposed for theft, Esther? Please, Marcus is good for her. He's helping her get back on her feet." I laughed, of course. "He is, and I'm sure you and Dad had nothing to do with setting this up, actually." Mom's voice hardened. "Your father refuses to meet him. He's still struggling with everything." That happened. A knock at my door interrupted us. I opened it to find Dad standing there, looking uncomfortable. "I'll call you back," I told Mom, hanging up before she could protest. "Hi," Dad said, shifting his weight. "Can we talk?" I let him in, noticing how he'd aged in just 2 weeks. The confident businessman was gone, replaced by someone who looked lost. "Sophia's getting married again," he said, sitting heavily on my couch. "So I heard to your business partner's friend Marcus." Dad spat the name like it tasted bad. "Your mother thinks it's wonderful. I think it's a disaster waiting to happen. Why? Are you here, Dad?" He pulled out his phone, showing me a text from Sophia. "Daddy, please give Marcus a chance. He owns nothing like Zane. He understands me." Mom says, "You're just being difficult. Don't you want me to be happy?" "She's doing it again," he said, quietly manipulating, pushing, trying to force everyone to accept her choices without question. But this time, I see it too. Little too late. I muttered. I know. He looked up at me. "I've been seeing a therapist, trying to understand how I let things get so bad, how I failed you both so completely." That surprised me. "You're in therapy twice a week? Your mother refuses to go. Says there's nothing wrong with how we raised you girls." He laughed bitterly. "But there wasn't. There, we created this mess." My phone buzzed again, a text from Kimberly with a screenshot. Sophia had posted another photo, this time of here, and a middle-aged man I assumed was Marcus, captioned, "When you upgrade from a boy to a man, sorry, not sorry, bae living my best life I showed." It to Dad, who closed his eyes in pain. "She tagged Zay in it." I said, "Shek, trying to hurt him." "Of course she is. It's what she does when she doesn't get her way." Dad stood up. "Suddenly, I'm selling my share of the business." "What? Why?" "Because Marcus works there. Because I can't stand watching your mother and sister manipulate another man into their web of lies. Because I need to start over somehow." He studied him carefully. "And what about Sophia's wedding?" "What wedding?" He smiled sadly. "She met this man 2 weeks ago. She's putting on a show, trying to prove she's won somehow, and your mother is enabling it, just like always." My phone lit up with another text, this time from Sophia. "Hope you're happy with your boring life and basic ring Marcus bought me. A real diamond. Guess some men just know how to treat their women." Right? I showed Dad the message. He read it, then did something I'd never seen him do before. He cried. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. "I'm so damn sorry." I watched him break down this man who had always seemed unshakable, and felt something shift inside me. Not forgiveness exactly, but understanding. "Dad," I said softly, Would you like to stay for dinner? Bruno's making lasagna. He wiped his eyes, nodding. I'd like that. I'd like that very much. The annual family charity gala wasn't something I planned to attend, but when Dad called and said he needed moral support, I couldn't say. No, Bruno adjusted my necklace as we walked into the hotel ballroom, squeezing my hand reassuringly. Remember he whispered we can leave any time I spotted Sophia, immediately hard to miss, in a red dress that cost more than my monthly rent, Marcus's. Hand possessively on her waist. Mom hovered nearby, beaming with pride as she introduced them. To everyone, Esther Mom's voice carried across the room. Come meet Marcus properly, here we go, I muttered. But Bruno guided me forward with a steady hand. Marcus looked exactly like his Instagram photo's silver-haired expensive suit. 2 white teeth, he extended his hand. The famous sister Sophia's told me so much about you, has she? I smiled tightly. All good things, I'm sure, of course. Sophia giggled, pressing herself against Marcus. I was just telling him how you inspired me to upgrade my life. Everything happens for a reason, right? Speaking of reasons. Marcus smiled at my parents, Sophia, and have an announcement to make. Dad appeared beside me. His face. Tight an announcement. Marcus baby Sophia CED not yet. We agreed to wait. I can't wait. Another minute. Marcus clinked his glass. Gathering everyone's attention, ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of announcing that in 3 weeks, Sophia will become my wife. The room erupted in applause. Mom rushed forward to hug them both, but Dad stayed rooted, beside me. 3 weeks, Bruno whispered. That's insane. Finished, we having a small destination wedding in the Maldives. Sophia announced very exclusive family. Only, of course, she looked directly at me. Well, some family, so IIA. Dad's voice held a warning. What? She blinked innocently. I just think it's best to keep things intimate after all. Some people might not approve of my happiness. You mean some people might. Tell Marcus about your history of theft, I said quietly. The color drained from Sophia's face. Marcus frowned. Theft? What theft? Nothing. Mom stepped in quickly. Just sisters being sisters. Marcus, let me introduce you to the board members, as Mom whisked them away. Dad turned to me. I'm not going to the wedding. Dad? No, this is wrong. HEK twice her age. They barely know each other, and your mother. He took a shaky breath. Your mother's already talking about how his money will solve all of Sophia's problems. A commotion near. The entrance drew our attention. Zane stood there looking sharp in a suit, his new girlfriend beside him. Oh, God, Bruno muttered. Sophia's screech cut through the murmur of conversations. What is he doing here? He's still my business partner, son Dad said firmly. He has every right to be here. Sophia stormed over to us, Marcus trailing behind, looking. Confused Daddy make him leave. No. What do you mean? No. She stamped her foot like a killed after what he did to me, after what you did to him. I corrected. You stole my ring, lied to him, and then tried to publicly humiliate him on social media. What ring, Maris asked Sophia. What are they talking about? Mom appeared as if by magic, nothing important. Marcus, ancient history. No, I said loudly, drawing attention. From nearby guests, not ancient history. 3 months ago, Sophia stole my engagement ring and tried to pass it off as her own when she got caught. She had a public meltdown and lost her job. Marcus stepped back from Sophia. Is this true? They're lying. Sophia's voice rose. Hysterically. They're just jealous because you're successful and rich and old enough to be your father. Dad cut in and desperate enough to propose to someone he's known for 2 weeks. Lamar Mom gasped. No, Josephine, I'm done pretending. Dad turned to Marcus. My daughter is a thief and a liar. My wife enables her, and you, sir, are either very naive or very foolish. The room had gone. Silent Sophia's mascara ran down her cheeks as she looked wildly around Marcus. Baby, don't listen to them. They're trying to ruin us like they ruined me and Zay. But Marcus was already backing away, his face a mask of disgust. I think I need some air, no. Sophia grabbed his arm. You promised me a villa in Monaco, you said? Said what? Marcus jerked away. That I'd save you, fix you? I think I've heard enough. As Marcus strode out of the ballroom, Sophia collapsed into dramatic sobs. Mom rushed to comfort her, shooting daggers at Dad and me. "Well," Bruno said quietly, "I guess the wedding's off. Dad lost a real genuine laugh I hadn't heard in years. Come on, let's get out of here before your mother decides this is somehow my fault too." As we left, I heard Sophia's wails echoing behind us, but for the first time, the sound didn't fill me with guilt or obligation. It just reminded me how far I'd come from being the sister who always had to fix everything. The morning of my wedding dawned bright and clear. I stood in the bridal suite Kimberly adjusting my veil when a knock at the door made us both freeze. Esther, Dad's voice. "Someone's here to see you." I opened the door to find Dad standing there with Mom, who looked smaller, somehow more fragile than I remembered. "5 minutes," Dad said softly. "That's all she's asking for." Kimberly squeezed my shoulder. "I'll be right outside if you need me." Once we were alone, Mom stepped forward, twisting her hands together. "You look beautiful." "Thank you." I stayed by the door, ready to escape. "If needed, Sophia's in rehab," she said abruptly. After the gala, after everything she had a breakdown, real one, this time, not just for show, I heard Dad told me, "Did he tell you I'm seeing his therapist too?" That surprised me. "No, he didn't. It's hard." Mom's voice cracked, looking at yourself in the mirror and realizing you've been the villain in your own daughter's story. That everything you thought you were doing out of love was actually destroying both your children. I didn't respond, waiting. Sophia's therapist asked her to write letters to everyone. She's hurt her letter to you. Mom pulled an envelope from her purse. She wanted me to give you this, but she also said she understands if you never read it. I took the envelope, feeling its weight. "Is that why you're here to deliver Sophia's letter?" No, Mom straightened her spine. "I'm here to deliver my own apology. Not in a letter. You deserve to hear it. Face 2. Face Mom, please." She held up her hand. "Let me say this, I failed you, Esther. I failed you every time I made excuses for Sophia. Every time I put her wants above your needs. Every time I made you feel like being responsible and honest. Somehow made you less." Special tears spilled down her cheeks, smearing her perfect makeup. "I was so focused on protecting Sophia that I never protected you from her, from my own bias, from the unfair burden we placed on you. And I am so sorry." I felt my own eyes welling up. Why now? Because I finally understand what I lost my relationship with you. Your trust, the chance to be part of your life, your marriage, your future family. She wiped her eyes. "And because for the first time, I'm not here to ask for anything, I just needed you to know that. I know what I did wrong." The door cracked open. Bruno peeking in. "Sorry to interrupt, but we're almost ready to start." Mom nodded, gathering herself. "Of course, I'll go find my seat. Unless you'd rather." I leave. I looked at her. Really? Looked at her. The designer outfit was the same, but something in her eyes was different. "Humbler, more real stay," I said softly. "But Mom, this doesn't fix everything." "I know," she smiled sadly, "but maybe it's a start." After she left, Bruno pulled me close. "You okay?" "Yeah." I touched Sophia's unopened letter. "I think I actually want to know a secret." He grinned. "Your dad's been taking dance lessons for weeks. He's determined not to mess up the father-daughter dance." I laughed, picturing my straight-laced father in dance class. "He's really trying, isn't he?" "They both are." Bruno kissed my forehead, ready to get married. I set Sophia's letter aside. I'd read it eventually, but not today. Today was about moving forward. Not looking back, actually. I straightened my veil. There's something I need to do first. I found Dad pacing in the hallway, muttering dance steps under his breath. "Dad," he turned, eyes brightening. "You look perfect." Walk me down the aisle. He offered his arm, then hesitated. "You know, all those years I spent enabling Sophia, trying to keep at peace. I forgot what real strength looks like. But you reminded me you stood up for what was right, even when it cost you everything." "Not everything." I took his arm. "I gained something too. a father who finally sees me. The music started our C to begin. As we walked toward Bruno, I caught Mom's eye in the audience. She smiled tentatively, and I found myself smiling back. Some things couldn't be fixed with apologies and letters. Some relationships would never be the same, but standing there surrounded by people who had learned the hard way what real love looks like, I realized something important. Sometimes the happy ending isn't about forgetting the past, it's about building a better future. One honest moment at a time. Ready, Dad whispered as we reached the altar. I squeezed his arm, looking ahead at Bruno, at our future more than ready.